On the evening of February 23, 2019, Jassy Correia went out with friends to celebrate her upcoming birthday at a Boston nightclub called Venue. As the night wound down, Jassy became separated from her group and tried to find her way home. She mistakenly approached a car she thought was her ride, leading to an argument with the driver. A nearby young man noticed the commotion and offered Jassy a ride. Tragically, that was the last time anyone saw her alive. 5 days later, police stopped a car with suspicious signs, leading to a discovery that would haunt them forever. Jassy Correia was born in 1996 on the beautiful island of Cabo Verde, off the western coast of Africa. Idyllic beaches, vibrant culture, and year-round sunshine, that was Jassy's reality for the first few years. But when she was just 3 years old, her father, Joaquin, made the difficult decision to immigrate to the United States, bringing his young daughter along. They settled in Dorchester, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. She grew up in the diverse Dorchester neighborhood alongside her brother Joel and cousins. As Jassy grew up in Boston, she seemed to embrace all her new home had to offer. She developed a passion for dance and photography, two artistic outlets that allowed her vibrant personality to shine. Friends described the young Jassy as a vibrant spirit with an amazing ability to make others laugh even in their darkest moments. She had a contagious, bright smile and was full of positive energy. In her late teens, Jassy's life took a defining turn when she became a mother herself at age 21. She gave birth to an absolutely beautiful baby girl named Gabriella, nicknamed Gabby. While they envisioned building a loving family together, unfortunately, their relationship would ultimately be marred by jealousy, anger, and unspeakable violence. Like so many cases of domestic abuse, it likely started slowly with Miguel exhibiting controlling behaviors rooted in jealousy and insecurity. But Jassy stayed committed to making it work for Gabby's sake, for a while at least. She tried her best to de-escalate conflicts and reassure Miguel that he was her one and only. Friends say the first major physical assault occurred in January 2018 when Gabby was still an infant. An argument turned explosive, and Miguel brutally beat Jassy while accusing her of texting another man. The injuries were so severe that Jassy texted Miguel's mother begging for help, fearing for her life. When police arrived, they found Jassy badly beaten and hiding under the basement stairs, bloodied and unrecognizable. Miguel showed no remorse during his arrest, appearing calm and sober as officers documented the scene. Jassy initially refused to cooperate with prosecutors, likely terrified about what her abuser might do. In the months after that first horrific attack, the cycle of violence only continued and intensified. Miguel constantly pressured Jassy to mislead authorities and not testify against him. However, in January 2019, he was convicted on multiple counts including kidnapping, assault causing serious bodily harm, and witness intimidation. Just a few weeks later, Jassy must have felt a glimmer of hope as her tormentor was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. She could finally escape Miguel's reign of terror and start fresh with baby Gabby. A new chapter in their lives, freedom at last, or so it seemed. Because in reality, the danger was never over for Jassy. After enduring years of trauma, 23-year-old Jassy finally had good reason to celebrate in late February 2019. With her abusive ex locked away, she was determined to enjoy her birthday and a promising future with Gabby. It was a Saturday, and 23-year-old Jassy was feeling hopeful and ready to enjoy herself with some close friends. Just a few weeks earlier, her abusive ex-boyfriend Miguel had been sentenced to prison for the awful beating he inflicted on her. So when the evening of February 23rd rolled around, Jassy got all dolled up in a bright orange jumpsuit, put on her favorite jean jacket with red lip and pink wings design, and headed out to celebrate her birthday on the town. The group's first stop was Venue, an upscale nightclub in Boston's trendy theater district. According to testimony from Jassy's friend Aja, she and Jassy were having the time of their lives, sipping champagne and letting loose on the dance floor as their birthdays came to a close. When the club closed at 2 a.m. on February 24th, Jassy accidentally got separated from her friend group as they headed out to the sidewalk on Tremont Street. Surveillance footage shows what happened next. An extremely intoxicated and unsteady Jassy attempts to get into an Uber ride that wasn't meant for her. When the driver understandably refused her entry and pushed her away, she tumbled to the ground, alone and vulnerable, in the downtown Boston streets. That's when 32-year-old Louis D. Coleman III entered the picture. Captured on the same security video, Coleman is seen approaching Jassy and appearing to help the struggling young woman to her feet. He takes her by the hand, and soon after, the two are walking off together towards Coleman's red sedan parked nearby. These would turn out to be some of the last moments Jassy was seen alive and well by anyone other than her killer. At around 4:15 a.m., security cameras at Coleman's apartment building on Chestnut Street in Providence, Rhode Island, caught his red sedan pulling into the lot. Strange details started emerging that I'm sure made investigators' blood run cold. He's seen carrying the figure, wearing bright orange pants like Jassy's jumpsuit with the upper body naked and hair hanging long. The person is completely limp and unmoving as Coleman drags them along the corridor, into the elevator, and off on the 6th floor towards his apartment unit at around 4:30 a.m. Unfortunately, the evidence trail didn't stop there. Over the next several hours, security cameras continued catching Coleman's every move, piecing together a clearer picture of the nightmare that was unfolding. At 1:15 a.m. on February 28th, the footage shows Coleman struggling to lift that same suitcase, now appearing weighed down, into the trunk of his red sedan. Finally, he loaded the suitcase containing her body into the trunk of his vehicle and made the 7-hour drive toward Delaware. All the while, Jassy was nowhere to be seen. Word of Jassy's disappearance started spreading on February 26th after her father reported her missing to Boston police. With security footage of the unknown man who was last seen walking off with Jassy, law enforcement miraculously identified and tracked down Coleman less than 48 hours later. What they discovered when apprehending him on the evening of February 28th in Delaware was the most sickening revelation of all. When a state trooper asked Coleman if anyone else was inside his vehicle, he shockingly replied, "She's in the trunk." Opening that trunk, investigators found the large suitcase Coleman struggled with days earlier, and inside, Jassy's brutalized body, bound with duct tape and covered in baking soda. Graphic details revealed that the young mother had suffered blunt force trauma, strangulation, and possible sexual assault at the hands of her captor. The damage to Coleman's vehicle suggested she fought for her life until the very end, while he bore visible injuries, claiming they were from the girl. In a matter of days, Jassy's life was stolen. According to prosecutors, in the aftermath of Correia's murder, Coleman launched an elaborate campaign to cover his tracks and dispose of the evidence. This included a series of chilling online searches and purchases that revealed his sinister intentions. Court records show Coleman scoured the internet for information on concealing a crime scene and dismembering bodies, with searches like "How to pull a tooth out that's not loose," "Can a person fit inside a suitcase?" and "How to clean for embalming." Putting this disturbing plan into action, Coleman then made a series of purchases, including duct tape, trash bags, baking soda, bleach, and other cleaning supplies. He also bought personal protective equipment like hazmat suits, respirator masks, and heavy-duty gloves and goggles to avoid leaving traces behind. His actions suggested a desperate attempt to cover up a heinous act. Coleman returned to Walmart, this time buying a large suitcase and a canister. Later that evening, CCTV footage captured him entering his apartment with the new suitcase. In the early hours of February 2nd, the footage showed him wheeling it out to his car. The footage was harrowing, showing Coleman struggling to load the heavy suitcase into the trunk. U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts Andrew Lelling later confirmed that since the morning of February 24th, Jassy Correia had not left Coleman's apartment. Armed with a search warrant, the police found incriminating items in Coleman's apartment and a nearby dumpster, including stained jeans, hooded coveralls, and items purchased from Walmart. On February 28th, when the police officers stopped Coleman near Wilmington, Delaware, they made the grim discovery in the trunk of his car. Jassy's body was stuffed inside a suitcase, concealed in a sofa cushion cover and a black trash bag inside the suitcase. Forensic examination revealed she had suffered strangulation and blunt force trauma, and there was evidence linking Coleman to the crime through DNA analysis. Louis Coleman III was a 32-year-old man from Providence, Rhode Island. He lived in an apartment building at 95 Chestnut Street, which is where police searched after his arrest. Neighbors thought Coleman seemed like a normal guy, but clearly there was a very dark side to Coleman that no one expected. Coleman had a master's degree in experimental physics from California State University a few years ago. His professor remembered Coleman being interested in bioengineering and working in an electrical engineering lab. In fact, Coleman apparently worked at the technology company Raytheon at the time of the crimes. So on the surface, Coleman appeared to be an educated professional with a background in science and technology fields. But his alleged involvement in the brutal kidnapping and killing of 23-year-old Jassy Correia exposed his true depravity hidden beneath. It showed how little the outward appearance of a person can actually reveal about what they are truly capable of. In a Boston courtroom, Louis Coleman III was sentenced for the kidnapping and death of Jassy Correia. Coleman received the harshest punishment possible, life in federal prison, with no possibility of parole.
A jury has found Louis Coleman guilty of kidnapping and killing a woman in Boston. Jurors only began deliberating yesterday. Louis Coleman was found guilty of killing Jassy Correia in February of 2019. Police found him days later driving in Delaware. Correia's body was in the trunk. Coleman will now spend his life behind bars.
The courtroom was silent as the sentence was read. During his sentencing, Correia's loved ones shared their grief and loss. Her father, Joaquin, lamented that they sought a better life. But unfortunately, Jassy didn't find it. Anybody in this courthouse must know what it is to lose a family member and a loved one, Joaquin stated just feet away from his daughter's killer. As Correia's family confronted Coleman with their emotional pain, the convicted killer remained unmoved. When offered a chance to address the court, he paused for a long moment before simply replying, "No, Your Honor." The sentencing marked the end of one of the most disturbing criminal cases Boston has seen. A young mother's life was tragically cut short, and a daughter must grow up without her loving parent due to one man's depravity. Vigils, memorials, and community forums in the wake of this tragedy have created spaces to mourn, raise awareness about domestic violence, and organize grassroots efforts for a more just, equitable world. While the circumstances were horrific and her life was cut far too short, her memory has become a powerful symbol and call to action. One where daughters, sisters, and mothers can live freely and safely, embraced, not brutalized. What are your thoughts on this case? Let us know in the comments below. For more true crime stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.